think the one thing that stands out the most is I definitely don't have stomach aches anymore. I might have had like one, maybe two, if that. And I realized when it came and I was like, okay, I haven't felt this in a while. So that's good.
But you can make these connections for yourself of why you
Mhm.
feel a certain way versus questioning everything and then beating yourself up about it.
Yes. And then definitely with the diets too, like don't eat this and then don't eat this. And then I'll do it for a week and then feel like, am I even doing the right thing? Because then I'll keep researching it. I'll read something different and it becomes a vicious cycle. All the different things that I would read about online, you kind of start to obsess. Like I'd start following this person, I'm like, oh, that worked for them. And then I'd be doing it, but it didn't feel like enough, or it was just miserable because then I'm like, okay, I can't have this. I can't do this. So it's very self limiting. And when you tell yourself you can't have something, you want it 10 times more. And then I think too, just not being aware of how to portion plates as far as the different nutrition categories. Looking back now, I can see why like my stomach didn't feel good or why I was still so hungry or why I was having cravings. And now I'm able to see like if I have cravings, I'm either tired or stressed or on my cycle. It's
Mhm.
one of the three.
Or didn't have enough at a certain meal, enough of a certain
Yes.
nutrient.
That too. I try to be on point with all my meals now, but
Yeah.
yes, there have been a couple times where I had to have like a mid-morning snack instead because I didn't have enough with breakfast.
Yeah, you're aware of that and you can adapt things and make those connections. And even when you have those sweets or treats, you feel so much more in control around them.
Hmm.
A reasonable amount that you're having.
Right. I won't have might have like one ice cream bar, one or two pieces of candy versus like a whole entire king size candy bar.
Yeah. That's such a big difference. And I feel
Hmm.
like your food variety is so much better. You're having carbs with meals. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, that was one thing we were limiting a lot or trying to. And I remember exactly how that started. We were at camp and this guy, he's an older gentleman, and he's like telling us he's doing this keto thing. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I've lost 15 pounds, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, geez, if he can do it, I could definitely do it. And we did for a little while, but still, I didn't really feel any different. I just felt kind of stressed out more and I didn't lose weight. I didn't feel any healthier or better. My stomach still hurt.
So now, how would you say that your nutrition, your health is at this point 6 months later?
Still have my days, everybody does, and that's normal. But I think out of everything that I've been wanting to work towards, that's the one thing that has stayed pretty stable. And I feel better. I don't have the stomach aches. It feels good to be able to say, I want a salad tonight, or I'm going to have pizza tonight. But tomorrow, I'm not going to have pizza 3 days in a row. It's definitely different.
And I think you are making meals at home more often in general,
Mhm.
mixing in meals out, and then portions when you do go out, it sounds like you're so much more confident in navigating how much you're having and then having leftovers.
Yeah, I definitely don't eat as much. I've got good at being like, okay, I'm actually full. Like, it might be so good that I want to keep eating, but then I'm like, okay, no, I'm actually full. And if I keep doing that, I'm not going to feel good. And I'm fine.
You listen to your body and you
Mhm.
respond accordingly, which in the past, I feel like eating past fullness, your stomach would hurt.
I was definitely eating past fullness. And I think just so much stress that I would always put on myself too, just figuring out what works for me
Hmm.
and how
Just
I feel instead of what other people think or what they do or their opinion.
that's been the biggest thing for you is just being
Mhm.
clear in yourself and staying in your lane. And I think that's naturally giving you more confidence.
Mhm. I would definitely agree with that. Looking at it as what works for me, because society puts a lot of expectations. I create a lot of pictures of how certain things should look, or how a person should look, or how a person should eat, and very draining.
Yeah.
So being able to do things that just work for me, it definitely feels good. And
That's
pivoting
cool.
when I need to. That's been the one thing I think that I've had to do a lot.
Yeah, that's the skill is being able to adapt and pivot based on life circumstances. You've
Mhm.
had a lot of things that you've had to navigate over the past 6 months, which is a part of it. If you're not learning how to
Mhm.
do that, then it is short lasting. But
Right.
because you really know what works for you, you can adapt, you can do this anywhere you are, you
Mhm.
can sustain it.
Right. Absolutely.
What would you say to someone considering doing this for themselves that is unsure? Because I know in the beginning you were skeptical, right? We're like, why is this different than other diet programs? What made this different for you?
The biggest thing that made it different was it's individualized. You breaking it down for me of you should be aiming for this many calories, this much fat, this many carbs. That definitely made it seem realistic and not I can't eat at all.
Mhm.
And just being aware that, okay, I can have all of these other things, but in moderation, but also not beating myself up if I chose to have those things.
Being able to include the things that you enjoyed, the foods that
Mhm.
you enjoyed and wanted to have in a way that also supported how you wanted to feel.
And even just having a little guide through,
Mhm.
otherwise you get on the internet and then you start something, then you start reading something else, and then you're just kind of trusting, trust the process. It does work.
Mhm.
You implement it on your end too.
It's a relationship, right? It's reciprocal.
Mhm.
It's guidance, support, and a application. I think that you were doing it too extreme before, and then
Mhm.
you felt limited, you felt restricted, then you would beat yourself up. And so it was like physical and mental.
Yes.
And now you feel better, and
Mhm.
mentally you're so much nicer to yourself in general.
It's definitely made a difference. I still have my moments, but I'm aware when they being realistic, like, okay, one day I can do an exercise, the next day I can do the treadmill or, however it plays out.
Oh,
Trying to be mindful of
come
that.
so far with that, Amy. It's remarkable with just being kind and realistic.
Yeah.